Hello, long time no talk, guys. Welcome to another PvP Basics build video by me, Zephyr. Today I wanted to share my Stamina Sorcerer. See, for a while the Stamina Sorcerer was pretty much supreme in 1vx PvP combat due to the meta, quote-unquote meta, build with Vatishran Staff and the Master's Dual Wield. But they nerfed the Master's Dual Wield substantially. It's about 40% decrease to my outgoing damage. But then back then I could zoom in, zoom out, dot enemies up, and my overwhelming pressure I dished out due to the meta made it to where I usually won. They usually couldn't even fight back. And I did that with less than 5,000 spell and or weapon damage. But now I had to come up with a way to make Stamina Sorcerer viable once again. So here's what I did. As you can see, I am running back bar, Wretched Vitality, and I did Wretched Vitality in the back bar strictly because you want some regen, because nowadays there's too many great things about using the Magicka on the Sorcerer. Streak, for example. Streak is probably going to be used more often than anything on your bar. And you can always add in the Hardened Ward somewhere on your bar if you feel like you need that, but I don't believe that we have enough mag or stam to make Hardened Ward viable for the Stam Sorc in this build. Anyway, if you look at Wretched Vitality, it's going to give regen, and whenever you use a buff, hence why it's on back bar, because that's where my buffs are, I gain pretty much a total of 390 more of both regens. Now on the front bar, I'm still running the Master's Dual Wield, and I'm running them sharpened, mainly because it's sharpened maces, and mainly because penetration is still always going to dominate when it comes to outgoing damage in general in this. Also, the perfected version gives more crit chance. It says Twin Slashes deal 834 more damage for each of the initial attack and bleed. Well, I'm using Blood Craze because it heals me back. You could use Rending Slashes. I probably should switch to Rending Slashes. It does a bit more damage and it snares. But I do like having that little extra income. But to make this viable, because of how much weaker it's become, I added Way of Fire. And the reason why the Way of Fire, as you can see, it adds, when you deal damage with a weapon, you deal an additional 2,623 flame damage. This can occur once every 2 seconds and scales off the higher of your weapon or spell damage. And if I were to increase my weapon and spell damage, it now goes up to 3,096. And yeah, it's every 2 seconds, but remember that Blood Craze I'm using, it's dotting them. And it hits them every second. So every 2 seconds they gain the random burst, not random, they gain the guaranteed burst off of because of my bleed, they're going to gain the guaranteed burst of the Way of Fire. Now, I do like using the Mythic Wild Hunt in this specific build, and the main reason why is because I like being able to zoom all around. My survivability in a 1vx comes down to my maneuverability, how fast I can go. And as a Stam Sorc, I already gain Hurricane, which gives me minor expedition, but then if I add the Wild Hunt during combat, I gain another 15%. Plus, I also have, which everybody hates, is Streak. And I can streak consistently due to the fact I got Wretched Vitality giving me tons of regen. And also, I'm using Dark Conversion, even though it's the one that gives me Magicka back, but I'm doing that so I can use my main survivability, which is that zooming out with the Streak. Now, this version, I want to admit, is strictly for if you don't have Scribing available. And I'll get into that a bit more after I go over skills, but real quick, I just wanted to finish up. As you can see on the build, I'm running well-fitted. Oh, my Slime Cross should be well-fitted. But I'm running well-fitted because I like to zoom, roll dodge, because the best mitigation is not healing. The best mitigation is not resist. The best mitigation is never getting hit. So if I can roll dodge consistently, I'm mitigating damage 100%. So I go well-fitted. On my jewelry, of course, I'll do all infused, and yes, I am doing the damage enchants. As I said, on the front bar weapons, they're sharpened. The enchants are weapon and spell damage on the front, on the main hand. On the offhand, I'm using shock because it does that extra vulnerability, causing the enemy to take 5% more damage from all sources, including your allies to them. On the back bar, I'm using precise strictly because I like having that crit chance to my heal, because the heal becomes substantially better. As we all know, 50% base to a heal, but I'm also Khajiit, so I gain an extra, what was that, 14% if I remember correctly. But my enchant is Absorb Stamina Glyph. And the reason why I did that is because when I use the skill, Elemental Susceptibility, I gain Major Breach, but the Absorb Stamina is going to cause Minor Breach to happen because of a Sunder status effect. And they upped Sunder status. They upped all status effects, but Sunder is substantially larger this patch. But now I got Major and Minor Breach giving me about 9,000 more penetration in the end. And on the front bar, I'll go over maxes afterwards. But anyway, because susceptibility, it causes a status effect burn, shock, and chilled. Every time one of those proc, which is every 2 seconds, you're going to get a chance of the absorb stamina to go off, causing Sunder, causing Minor Breach. So it's constantly staying on your enemy as long as you have susceptibility there. It's pretty awesome. Now, other than... I do want to mention I do not have a helm set because my choices was either I use a Mythic or I use a helm set. That was my choices. Now, I do have a version that goes bow on back bar, which that means when I roll dodge, I gain Major Expedition, which is Major Expedition plus the minor Expedition from Hurricane. The Major Expedition comes from Hasty Retreat on the bow passives. The reason why I can go bow is because Scribing allows me to do this, the Sundering Soul. And if you read it there, it's going to give me my resources back. It's going to cause Sunder, which is Minor Breach, and it's going to cause the Major Breach due to the effects I've added on it. Also, it's going to give me a little bit more mitigation. Anyway. Oh, sorry, regen. Anyway, so I love being able to do that, but that's only if you have Scribing available. If you don't have Scribing available, just go with this version right here. If you do have Scribing available, swap to the bow, and at that point you can take out your Wild Hunt, and you can start tossing in other mythics. I do like Mora's Whisper, because... Oops. I do like Mora's Whisper as a mythic to use, and that's because you cap out about 10% more 10% more crit chance, and the main reason why I want to use more crit chance is because of how crit surge works. Every time you crit, you're going to heal for 3,300 pretty much, and that helps carry, sustain, and also mitigate damage at the same time. Now that's just one of the many mythics I would use in place of Wild Hunt. I would not do Sea Serpent's Coil, but some people like it. I wouldn't do it. That slow is what's going to cause your death, in my opinion. Don't do it. Markin is always great. You can never ignore Markin. But on a Sork, what really helps a Sork, especially if you're going to use Hardened Ward, is Death Dealer's Fate. If you use that, you're going to gain about 3,600 of health, stamina, and magicka. But it's going to take you a full minute to get to that point, which is fine. In my opinion, the battle shouldn't last that long unless you're unless you're actually against 10 or more enemies, which then it would be very beneficial. But other than that, it won't. If you're not using Hardened Ward, I don't believe Death Dealer's Fate is viable. So in the end, I would use Markin, Wild Hunt, or Mora's Whisper. I think I overdid that one right there for you guys. Anyway. I do want to go over the skills real quick. If you look at my front bar skills, I'm using, I'm just going to go back to the Superstar, so you can just keep on looking at that and get that put in your head. Anyway, back bar, Susceptibility, Hurricane, and went over why. It's your defense buff, plus it's going to give you a little AoE damage, extra dot. It's also going to give you minor expedition. Dark conversion I'm using because I want to keep my mag up as often as possible, to keep using streak as often as possible. Resolving vigor gives me a minor resolve. It's also going to be my main heal, even though it's not really a heal. Don't think of it as your main heal, but it technically is in this case. Crit Surge is your main heal. Anyway, Haunting Curse on my back bar because I'm very smooth at my animation cancels. I will bar swap cancel with Haunting Curse, as you can see. Just push the skill at the same time you swap bars. Or you do that whole animation. Simple as that. Do that into a streak to stun your enemy. It's kind of nice. Anyway, going back to the skills, to finish up the skills on my back bar, I do use Power Overload, so whenever I'm on my back bar, I can just push R and have a little range pressure while I'm, as you can see. And I'm going to turn that off. Then, on my front bar, as I said, I use Blood Craze. You can use Rending Slash. I probably should use Rending Slash. Crystal Frags. I love Crystal Frags because you have a 33% chance of causing your next Crystal Frag to be instant, dealing 66% more damage. And whenever it's instant, it is going to light up. Here, I'm going to see if I can make it show up. You see that, how it lit up down there? When it lights up, it's instant cast. And it's a pretty good damage. Anyway, Shriek, obviously, it's your getaway. It's also your main stun. It's also unblockable stun and an AoE stun to everybody in your path. Crit Surge, went over this. This is your main heal. This is your Major Brutality and Sorcery. This is the buff you need to pay attention to as often as possible. Keep it up. Me, I put in Whirling Blades as my finisher because I love going in. After I got all my stuff going, my dots, everything, I just spin the wing. It's kind of nice. That's me. On front bar, I use Dawnbreaker Smiting. It is an AoE DOT. It is also a great stun and pretty damn good opening damage. If you stack enough crit behind it, it's even better. Anyway, that's the skills. That's the gear. Real quick, I'm going to go down to the food for you. The food I'm using is Jewels of Misrule. I am a Vampire Stage 4 because I love being able to sprint around invis. If you look at Vampire passives, you got a natural movement, reducing the cost of sprint. If you continuously sprint for 3 seconds, you automatically become invisible. That gives me a little bit more survivability, also controls my in and out of my combat. I am using Tri Potions. If you don't know what that is, Tri Potions give you max of each resource. Also gives you a little bit more regen of each resource. Real quick, I'm just going to do a full buff for you. So, enter combat. So, front bar, right there, we got 25k spell, 22k physical resist. We have 2200 mag regen, 2500 stamina regen, 29% crit chance. And, oh, I forgot to do that. My spell and weapon damage is only 4707. Doesn't matter because you're going to see that extra dots going on. You see all those extra dots from just Rending Slash going off? You see all that? It's pretty nice. Not to mention Hurricanes going on them. Haunting Curse, Susceptibility should be going on them. It's just good, consistent pressure. That was the goal. Overall, my back bar resist, I'm going to show you real quick. Back bar regen still pretty much the same. My stamina is now at 2900. My resist still 25 and 2300. That's the build, guys. Style of play is zoomy. It is in and out. It is an all over the place style of play. Zoom, zoom, zoom. that's the gist. Anyway, hopefully this helps you out. If you like Dot Sorc, it is my favorite. So hopefully this build is what you've been looking for. It's the best I came back with. You guys have a good day. Thanks for watching.